And I'll never forget my therapist. His name's Al. Okay, I need you to think of the one guy you know named Al. Got it? That's exactly what he looks like, okay? So think of Al. And so I'm sitting there with Al. Heather and I are done with marriage therapy now. Now I'm just doing like my own therapy with Al. And I'm like, Al, bro, I've been paying you for like 4 years, bro. Every week. Like when can I stop paying you for therapy? It's getting expensive. Am I close? He's like, oh, you're close. He goes, but you have to figure out why you keep rubbing crap on your blessings. That's what my Christian therapist told me. I was like, you can't say that. He's like, it's true. Take a look at the line of your life. You, every single time God has done something good for you, you don't feel like you're worthy. You don't feel like you deserve it, and you mess it up. And so like that shook me to the core because I realized, oh my gosh, if I don't figure this out, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do all this work and then it's gonna happen again. I'm gonna ruin my life again. So I left and I walked straight to my minivan and I called my dad. My dad, Fermin Agustin Wittigen is his name. And he's the wisest man I know. He's a first-generation immigrant from Colón, Panama. He immigrated to the United States in 1960 as a black man that didn't speak English in 1960, right? Strike one, strike two, with $20 cash and a shoe shine kit. And my dad shined shoes at LAX for 2 years, made enough money for 1 semester at LA Community College. Then he got a scholarship, straight A's, next semester at LA Community College. Then he got a scholarship to Four-Year University. Now he's Dr. Fermin Whitaker, right? My dad's like the picture of like the American dream. And he also makes me feel so freaking lazy, right? He's like, I'm like, oh my, every time I see my dad, he's overcome so many obstacles in life. And so that's why I called him, because he's a man of God, after God's own heart. He's worked so hard, so I called him and I was like, Dad, Al just told me that if I don't figure out what's wrong, I'm gonna keep rubbing crap on my blessings and I'm gonna ruin my life again. And he goes, oh, Carlitos, I know why you rub crap on your blessings. I was like, really? You do? He goes, let me tell you a story. I was like, Dad, if my dad ever says that, like buckle up for like 2 hours, right? Like I was like, Dad, I don't have time for your stories. No, let me tell you a story. Now, before I tell you the story my dad told me, I need you to get a visual picture of my dad. I think we have a picture of my dad. Hopefully, look at him. That was like, 8 years ago, but he's living his best immigrant life at his timeshare in Hawaii. And I know some of you guys, I just need you to see what he looks like. Some of you guys are thinking, I've seen that man somewhere before. And you're actually right, because we have the other picture of my dad that we could put up. That's actually, my dad's the emoji. The first time I saw that emoji, I was like, Daddy. I don't even text my dad, I love you anymore. I just text him that emoji like 100 times a day. Okay. We've been talking heavy, so I thought we'd get a little laughter here. Okay, we take the picture down. So my dad, he goes, let me tell you a story. I know why you rub crap on your blessings. I said, okay, tell me. He goes, when I was in Panama, preaching my very first revival, I gave the invitation, and nobody came to the front when I invited people to give their life to Jesus. But one very old lady in the back of the church, her name was Miss Ramirez, she slowly makes her way to the front. And it takes her forever, but she gets to the very front and she looks at me and she is crying. And she says, Pastor, can you please pray for me? And my dad said, sure, I'll pray for you. Can you please pray that God would clean the cobwebs from my life? My dad thought, well, that's very poetic. So he prayed that, Lord, clean the cobwebs from Miss Ramirez's life. He says, Carlitos, night numero dos, Miss Ramirez comes to the front again. Nobody comes to the front but Miss Ramirez. She's still crying. And she says, Pastor, can you pray again that God would clean the cobwebs from my life? My dad was like, I prayed that last night. She said, can you pray harder? So my dad put a little salt and pepper on his prayer. Prayed a little harder. Lord, clean the cobwebs from Miss Ramirez's life. He says, Carlitos, night numero tres, Miss Ramirez comes again. The third night of the revival. She is still crying. And she looks at me one more time. She said, Pastor, can you please pray that God would clean the cobwebs from my life? My dad said he looked at her and says, no. We've been praying the wrong prayer. Tonight we're not going to pray he cleans the cobwebs. Tonight we're going to pray he kills the spider. When he said that to me, it clicked. He said, Carlitos, I know that you are a professional cobweb cleaner. You cannot keep going to your therapist, Al, and cleaning the cobwebs. You must find the root and kill the spider. And it changed everything. So now when I went back to Al, no longer was I cleaning the cobwebs, I was finding the spider and I had to kill it.